Takedowns count for something. I don't know if they got counted in this matchup, but Matt Brown drops a very, very close split decision to Bryan Bam Bam Barberena. And this is two blue-collar workers. You love both of these dudes. You don't want to see either dude lose, but I do have something that I didn't enjoy seeing after the fight, AJ, and that's Matt Brown posting, I think it was on Instagram or Twitter or something, but he basically said more or less, I thought I won rounds 1 and 2. I let up rounds 3. I shouldn't have done that. Mistake happens. Excuse, AJ? I mean, what do we make of this? This is an OG veteran. This is the immortal. This is one of the baddest men on the planet to do it. And normally you don't hear excuses out of the man. So letting up in round 3, you would think a veteran of his stature wouldn't do something of that nature. But to me, it looked like slowing down more than letting up. What do you think?
I thought it was more of a gassing out, Derek. There's some moments in sports I feel like you learn one time. And it's that moment for me. I know back in the day, it was a middle school track race event. I was out in the lead, 100-yard dash, sprinting it, getting my thing on. I'm in the lead. I let up a little. One of the homies passes right by me, zooms right by me, gets the win. He goes on. I lose that tournament. Always and forever, I will think you run past, you run a couple extra steps, sprint through that damn finish line and don't stop or else somebody's going to take it from you. Matt Brown should know that by now, man. He should know better than to be able to say, all right, I'm going to take a couple off. Because I agree with him. I thought he won rounds 1 and 2. It was a little disheartening to see the decision go the other way, especially in the hometown. But you said it before, Derek, we're not in the amateurs anymore. We're not in the regionals. Hometown don't mean nothing when you let up on the gas. I was a little more upset for the loss until I heard that statement. In that case, I kind of feel almost a little more justified for Bryan Barberena. You're going to take a little bit of time off or a little bit of pressure off. And the other guy, that's him winning. I don't know, man. What do you think?
Well, you can't let your foot off the gas. But I do think it comes down to the thing that we mentioned off air. So we know that Matt Brown wins round 1, right? Pretty clear. Wins round 1. Barberena wins round 3. The big question is the turning point, the middle part of the round in round 2, because it just depends on what you're looking for, how you view it as a judge, even if you're a armchair judge, whatever you want to call it. Matt Brown clearly wins the first half of the second round, takes down Bryan Barberena, has a bunch of control time. And we're looking at control time in total, 5 minutes of control time for Matt Brown throughout the fight, only 57 seconds for Bryan Barberena. So 5 minutes to 1 minute, right? Now, the second half of the second round, Matt Brown starts to slow down a little. Bryan Barberena lands some big shots on him, and the last closing seconds, 5-10 seconds left in the round, he's throwing some big shots on him. You know what I mean? It's some big ones. But then again, Matt Brown did have 5 takedowns in the fight, so it just really depends on what you're looking at. That second round is the big turning point right there. AJ, we've seen more and more the inconsistent judging. We thought we were kind of on for a little bit. We were like, okay, now they are showing the takedowns mean something, or now they're showing, yeah, you could take them down, but you need control time. Now, though, that we're going Columbus, we're going London, we're going Vegas, we're going to these different places with these different commissions, I'm seeing sporadic judging, different things here, different things there. So it's kind of hard to get a read on what do I need to do to win the fight. What are your thoughts on that?
Hey, Derek, my thoughts are, it sounds like it's back to the shenanigans of the judging, man. You just can't leave it to the judges at all, regardless anymore, because you're right. It does really depend on where that second round comes into play. And the crazy thing is per fight, per round, it seems like all things can change. So it's rough. Yeah, I do. This one, I had 2-1 for Matt Brown. I definitely think he would, but I agree with what you're saying. Right in that middle round, how did it go? Because Bryan Barberena did bloody up Matt Brown. He was landing some big elbows, dropped some big bombs. You can see the blood coming. So does that go more to the judges? I don't know. I guess I wish there was a little more transparency in that whole thing so we could understand a little bit better, but that's the game right there, I guess.
That's the fight game, AJ. What does it mean to you that Bryan Barberena outstruck Matt Brown 186 total strikes to 95? What does that mean to you?
Yeah, that seems about right. 186. That gap, once that pressure started going, and I guarantee we look at a graph, that striking output of Matt Brown is super high in the beginning and then starts really dropping where the opposite happens for Barberena.
Do you think that this is an age-related situation for Matt Brown? I did note in the pre-show, and I got to take it back now. I said Matt Brown was chinny. Let's watch out for the knockout for Bryan Barberena. But showed an outstanding chin. He bit down on his mouthpiece, and he kept it going rounds 1 through round 3, even though he did slow down. It seemed more than anything to me probably an age thing, man. You're just getting up there in age. Gas tank isn't what it used to be. This is a 40-plus-year-old man, after all. You're fighting a young, spry, 32-year-old Bryan Barberena who works on the farm all day. So what do you think? Do you think it's an age thing, or do you think that, Matt Brown, I don't know. What do you make of it?
Yeah, no, I think this has to be an age thing, especially with the comment he made where he said, "Oh, I took my foot off the gas." Like he
Yeah,
should know better. So I think this
yeah,
is more of an excuse and him being a little tired in there,
yeah.
unfortunately.
No, I'm with you, brother. So Bryan Barberena, huge win. I cannot understate this. He is 17-8 in his MMA career, 8-6 in the UFC. He was hovering around 500 for quite some time, 8-6 now. But this was the last fight on Bryan Barberena's contract. He did note that he tried to negotiate a little bit. The UFC wasn't really trying to have it. It has been a recurring theme recently that the UFC is letting fighters fight out their contract and then deciding what they want to do with them. But he says, UFC, I want to talk. Dana White hit me up. Let's do this. If you don't want to do this, I will hang up my gloves and I will go work on the farm because I love that just as much as I love fighting. But there's nobody else that I would want to fight with except the UFC. Do we see Bryan Barberena step into the octagon again, or is this over for Bam Bam Barberena?
Man, I hope so. I'm a big fan of the Bam Bam Barberena, brother. But at the same point, where does he go in the 170-pound division? He's not going to be fighting for titles anytime soon. Is he the crowd drawing money bringer that we could see, like a Hazmat being or somebody else in that division? I don't know, man. And there's a lot of cuts coming in. I'm almost willing to bet that Bryan Barberena, this is the last time, unfortunately, because I'm a big fan. I'm willing to bet that I think this is the last time we'll see him in the cage. I don't think they're going to renew his contract. He's just not too much of a crowd bringer, unfortunately, even though, like I said, I'm a huge fan. I think he's a great fighter. But
I think he's a very skillful fighter, very talented fighter, and I do think they will be bringing him back. So I guess we got the one for up, one for down. We will see what happens, but best of luck to Bryan Barberena. This is also the thing we got to consider. Matt Brown, he says he wants another 8-fight contract so he can fight till he's 45. Got to see what will happen next for our boy, the Immortal. You know what I'm saying? But big win by Bryan Barberena. You got to celebrate it. You know what time it is.